Hi there. I am going to give you a quick walkthrough of the FarmKeep app, just so you can see what all the features are. So when you open the app, this is the home screen, and you'll see on the home screen, there's weather, the name of your farm, members, if you have any members. You can see all your members here. You can invite a new member to your farm. Just enter their email address here and then the member role. So you'll be able to see, you can add somebody as an admin, staff, or guest. And then you can look at the permissions here and learn all about what the roles and permissions are for people who join your farm. You can manage the guest list here if you want to promote them or demote them or remove them. And then you can go and see your area map of your farm here. So this is our farm right now. You can zoom in and you can see what all the animals are in a certain area. And to add a new area, you just drop a pin, and then you can edit the information. And that'll be saved. And then to move the pin, you tap on move, and then you can just move it to a new area, and then hit done. And these are your task lists here. So you can see your active tasks, completed tasks. You can show tasks only assigned to me. And then creating a new task is really simple. You can assign this to a date, a due date. And once you have a due date assigned, it will send you a notification. You can assign this to somebody to complete the task, and it will show up here. Something else you can do here on the home screen is if you go to this drop down, and if you're part of multiple farms, you can see all of your farms here. So, you can invite different people to join your farm, or you can join other people's farms and see other people's information, basically. And then if you have invites, they'll show up on the side. But the great thing about this is if you are an organization that, maybe needs overview or management of multiple farms, this is a great place to do that. So if we go to animals, so these are your animals. These are all the animals on our farm. And you can sort it by species, breeds, tags, or areas. As an example, you can see where all the animals are in each area. Or go to animals, you get a total count of all your animals. I'll show you how to add new animals. So if you want to add a new animal, for example, we're going to add an ostrich. And you can add a species here and search for the ostrich. But you can see all of our species that are listed. We have a lot. If there's not a species that you want, you can go and create a custom species and just put all the information in here. Like if it's an egg layer, incubation, temperature time, live birth, gestation period. But we're gonna go with ostrich today. And then you can add a breed. Same thing here. You can create a custom breed for your animal if you don't see it on the list. We have blue neck ostriches. And then the quantity, you can create a profile for one animal, or if you want to track them as a group of animals, you can do that. And then you can add a weight. Tags we're using as more of like a way for us to group them. So on the filter list, if you have multiple animals of the same tag, you can filter by tag. And then you can add an area to show where they live. Off farm is, it just indicates if the animal is on your farm or not. So let's say you have an animal that you're, borrowing for stud service, or, maybe you sold your animal, and you want to track that. And you can, indicate sex here. So you can hit done. And then your ostriches, let's go back to here. you should be able to see. Oh, you know what? I made that off farm. So you have to turn the off farm on, and then you'll see our off farm animals that we made. Oh, and then one other fun thing about the profiles. So here's the weight and weight history. So you can view if you're tracking the weight history of your animal, you can view all of that, and you get a graph of seeing the trends, and we calculate rate of gain for you. So you can just go ahead and log weights whenever you want and change the unit of measure here. And then under records, you can add a general note or a vaccination record. So vaccine records, I don't think we have pre-filled for ostrich because that's not as common, but I'll show you a vaccine record for, let's go to a dog. So depending on the type of animal, the vaccine list will get filled for you for common vaccines for that animal, and you can create a vaccination record here. You can add the serial number of the vaccine, expiration date, the dose given, site given, or the dose amount and the site given, and that will show up here. If you were doing a vaccine for a group of animals, you can add multiple animals here, and that will show up on multiple animal profiles. And then let me go back to that ostrich. So I wanted to show you guys there's a photo gallery. You can add more photos to it. And then this is the pedigree. You can add the parents of the animals. And you can see if you connected it to a birth record, it'll show up here. Breeding history of this animal will also show up here. Here's the pedigree chart. So if I fill out the pedigree, the parents of all of these animals, the pedigree chart will expand and grow, and you should be able to see multiple generations of animals there. So we're going to go and look at breeding now. Under breeding, you'll see all of your breeding groups that are active in progress. You can also see completed breeding groups that have been completed in the past. So let me go and create a new breeding group. So you can basically create breeding groups for any species of animal. I'll pick dog, for example, here. So we have breeds here. You can pick one. So we're going to create a test group, and we're going to pick sire and dam from our dogs, but this will work for any animal. So breeding method here, you can select that. And then depending on the animal you pick, you'll see the gestation date. And this is basically a gestation calculator that will calculate the time for you based on the animal's species. So if I pick a different date, you'll see this gets updated. So this is our test breeding group. I'm going to hit done. And you'll see our dog breeding group is here. It'll tell you 42 days till birth. All the info is here. And you'll see, as an example, I've created one for an ostrich egg. Same thing with egg hatching. We'll have incubation information here for you. So you can enter that in, and we'll calculate everything for you. And then we can go see an in-progress breeding group. So this is one that was completed. Once a breeding group has been completed, you can add information in here, like, how many offspring were born, and then if you have stillbirths, you can add it, the birth result, and then the birth date. And then here you can also add the record of the animals. So I don't actually have a record for this yet, so I'm going to make one. So this is 2025. And we had 8 here. So we're just creating this. So now when you create that, you can tie that animal profile that you just created to this breeding group. And then if we go back here, go down to rabbit, you'll see that animal profile I just created is there. So that's high level breeding. Oh, and then there's a calendar view. So if you want to see all your milestones coming up on your calendar, you can do that. So this will help you plan for any activities that might be upcoming. And then we go to production. So this is where you can track your production of things like eggs or milk. On our farm, we just have a lot of eggs that we track, but if you wanted to track something like milk, you can do that here. You can track milk by volume or weight. We don't have any goats. I'll just pretend that one of our rabbits is a goat. Oops. This will be awkward, but you kind of get the idea. And then you can create an entry here as an example. We can say, we got 13 ounces of milk today, and it'll track here, and then you can see the animal that it's been linked to. So that will show up on your list, and then you can see trend lines, basically. What's really helped us with our ostrich eggs is just kind of seeing, this year, our ostrich eggs versus last year. We can kind of anticipate the season of when the eggs, come in versus when they start declining. So that's one good thing about production. You can export all of these data that you've entered. So if you want, a CSV file, you can do all of that. Same with all these other animals. You can download all your data from any of these tabs, basically. So finances. I didn't record all of my expenses this year yet, but let me go to last year. You'll see an example here of my revenue and expenses. So here is revenue from last year. If I sell eggs, I'll record that. You can add line items here. If you have multiple things you want to add, you can add that, create an invoice. And then expenses, same thing. You can see all of your expenses and line items. Oh, I didn't do let's go to one earlier. So here's an example of an expense invoice where I wrote down, all of the things on the receipt. And then, over time, you can kind of see a live view of how much you're making and how much you're spending. And of course, you can also download your finances. So the great thing with finances is that if you have added somebody on your farm, only admins can see your finances. Staff and guest members cannot. So if you want to keep that private from other people, you can, prevent them from seeing it. That's by default. But yeah, that's kind of it. This is high level our main features of FarmKeep. We are currently still in development, so there's a lot of fun, new, better features coming down the line. If you've got feedback or feature requests, just send us an email and let us know.